Hearings begin in Annapolis on legislation that could change marijuana laws in the state. Good evening, this is CTV News. I'm Rochelle Metzger. Well, could we see the end of criminal penalties attached to certain amounts of marijuana? A Senate committee heard testimony on that issue today. Two bills are before the Senate to decriminalize the drug, including one that would replace a jail sentence with a fine for possessing 10 grams or less. Supporters and opponents packed the hearing to weigh in on the issue.
ACLU comes at it from two standpoints. One is the civil liberties standpoint, that adults should be able to choose to use a substance without the government interference. And the second is our racial justice work. We have for years been working on the issue of mass incarceration and mass criminalization of communities of color. And what we have seen is that despite comparable rates of use of marijuana between blacks and whites, blacks are overwhelmingly arrested for marijuana possession.
There is no racial disparity when it comes to individuals who possess and or use marijuana. There are some people who choose to do it in the confines of their home and not stand on a street corner. Those who stand on a street corner and deal or use marijuana openly, certainly we're going to go after them, certainly we're going to arrest them, but they choose to stand on a street corner and deal it. There are just as many individuals using it within the confines of their home every single day. They're a little bit smarter than those standing on the street corner doing it in the open, and when they're out there dealing or using marijuana on a street corner, who gets the phone calls to police? And we have to respond to those calls for service. So if the numbers are skewed, perhaps that's the reason. It has nothing with targeting any particular race or ethnic background for using marijuana.
Now, the second bill being considered would make it legal for people 21 and older to use marijuana. Well, Anne Arundel County has it in place, and depending on what lawmakers decide, other jurisdictions in the state could be doing it too. Several years ago, the county started what's called a Warrant Intercept program. It allows the state comptroller's office to withhold tax refunds of residents who have outstanding warrants. Offenders are told they must turn themselves in to authorities before they can have access to the money. The Anne Arundel County Sheriff says it's a safe and efficient way to clear outstanding warrants.
This, as we see, is probably the most fiscally responsible way to have an arrest warrant served, because the bad guys or the criminals, both male and female, are actually coming to us. It's saving our resources from going out trying to find them. They're actually coming to us. And this screams, and it screams loudly, safety and efficiency.
Having seen the powerful and immediate effect this law has had just one county, I'm absolutely convinced that the entire state of Maryland could only benefit if this program were established statewide. One of my bedrock principles as comptroller has been to reward those taxpayers who abide by the law while aggressively pursuing those who do not.
Fran Scho testified before a House committee in support of a bill to put the intervention program in place statewide. As of February, nearly $470,000 in refunds have been withheld from more than 600 individuals who have warrants. Well, as part of an effort to make Maryland prisons more secure, the state is expanding its Canine Corrections Unit. Today, the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services graduated 8 new dogs along with their handlers. The special unit does more than 90,000 searches a year across Maryland correctional facilities. In the last 2 years, the dogs have found close to 1,300 contraband items, including drugs and cell phones. Governor Martin O'Malley says adding more canines and adding new cell phone detection technology are just some of the ways the state is improving jail security.
We are increasing staffing levels and also correctional officer training. Our proposed budget invests more dollars to make greater improvements. We are upgrading cameras and video systems at our facilities. We're enlarging the internal investigations unit and put in place new procedures for security and screening at our entrances.
As a rule of thumb, dogs are worth 30 or 40 of us searching, like for instance, an entire tier or 40 or 50 vehicles. They can search those in a matter of moments as opposed to manpower having to take hours to do it. The dogs also provide a psychological deterrent. When the dogs are on scene and working, people are much less likely to try to introduce contraband or drugs or cell phones or any other dangerous objects into the prison system because they see the dogs.
The canine unit has a total of 49 dogs, including patrol and detector dogs. Many of the animals are acquired from rescues and shelters, saving them from being euthanized. Well, a former alderwoman is gearing up to possibly become the next lieutenant governor. Republican delegate Ron George has announced that he has selected Shelley Alloy as his running mate. The 53-year-old served a single term representing a district in Frederick, but was defeated last year when she ran for a second term. Alloy joins the George campaign, which has been struggling to raise money and gain as much recognition as the other 4 Republican contenders. Well, Prince George's firefighters responded to 2 incidents today, one in Largo and another in Capitol Heights. The blaze in Largo was a townhouse in the 600 block of Harry S. Truman Drive. Authorities on the scene reported no injuries because of the fire, but an EMS vehicle was involved in a crash at the intersection of 202 and Arena Drive.
Firefighters and incident commanders were responding to a townhouse fire on Harry S. Truman Drive in Largo when one of our incident commanders was responding up 202 and approaching Arena Drive. He was involved in a broadside collision with a civilian vehicle. Both drivers of vehicles were transported to an area hospital. Our incident commander, a paramedic captain, was transported to a trauma center with the potential for serious injuries. Both cars appear to be severely damaged. County police will be conducting an investigation who may be at fault.
Meanwhile, there was a fire in a single-family home in Capitol Heights earlier this morning. No injuries were reported in that fire either. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Rochelle Metzger.